all COVID-19. The state legislature's really been hands off when it comes to the governor's COVID-19 orders. We're going on more than 20 months of that, but they could come back this week and take up a change to the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act that workers across the state are using successfully in courts to block employers from firing them for having a conscientious objection to COVID-19 mandates. And joining us is Liberty Justice Center attorney Daniel Suhr here on the WMAY morning news feed to talk about a headline where nurses get a temporary restraining order in a vaccine mandate case. I'm Greg Bishop. Daniel, thanks for taking time. Tell us what happened out of Kankakee.
Yeah, Greg, thanks for having me back on the program. So yesterday we saw an important first step in protecting the rights of not just these nurses in Kankakee at Riverside Medical Center, but really protecting the rights of people across Illinois, that a judge issued a temporary restraining order, which is a formal order from the court that Riverside, which had planned to terminate these nurses on October 31st, this Sunday, is not able to move forward with that program, that these nurses are protected in their jobs until the court is able to hear further argument in the case in late November. But for right now, they are protected in their jobs because the Illinois Healthcare Right of Conscience Act is there to protect people like these nurses in their right to a conscience-based objection to a vaccine mandate.
So, Daniel, when it comes to this case in particular, we've seen other health organizations actually let a lot of people go. 400, I believe, at one particular health operation in the suburbs. This was halted at this particular health operation because of this lawsuit, correct?
Yes. So Riverside was planning to move forward with terminating all of these, and not just these 6 nurses, but terminating dozens, potentially even more members of their medical staff and their nursing and support staff who had conscientious objections. Riverside had issued a blanket denial of all patient-facing staff requests for religious exemptions. There was no individual consideration. There was no look for a reasonable accommodation for people to stay in their roles. It was blanket denials across the board. And thankfully, the judge has stepped in this case and said that that sort of policy is problematic under the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act and put in place this order to protect people in their jobs.
Daniel Suhr with the Liberty Justice Center joins us here on the WMAY morning news feed to talk about a case out of Kankakee where a judge granted a temporary restraining order against a health company that was set to fire nurses for not complying with vaccine mandates. Daniel, later on this afternoon, the Illinois legislature is going to take up a House amendment to Senate Bill 1169 that would amend the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act, essentially saying that it's not discrimination if somebody doesn't follow any measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19, and it could include termination. If this was to pass, would that impact your clients in this case, or is it something that they can go backwards to implement it?
Yeah, we'll have to see what the exact language that passes looks like. But what I certainly can say is that the purpose of the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act is to protect each of us in our beliefs, regardless of what our beliefs are, and especially at times when our beliefs are unpopular. Justice Breyer actually had a great line for the Supreme Court the other day where he said, the Constitution has a special solicitude for unpopular ideas because popular ideas don't need protection from society. Popular ideas are already popular. And today we're having this fight over vaccine mandates, and some people may hold a religious or moral conviction that most people disagree with, but that's their right today. Tomorrow it might be a different issue that's dividing us in society. But the law is there to protect us in our most fundamental rights, in our deepest held beliefs, regardless of the issue of the day, in order to provide people the sanctity of conscience that's so core to who we are as human beings. So I hope the legislature would recognize the story of these nurses and the service they've been providing their patients and respect their right and never force someone to choose between their faith and their job.
Daniel Suhr with the Liberty Justice Center. Greatly appreciate your time this morning. We'll connect again to get an update on this because there's going to be another hearing coming up next month. So be safe out there, all right?
Yeah, thank you, sir. It's a great first win, and we're going to keep fighting for these nurses and people across Illinois to protect their fundamental rights.
It's now 8 o'clock on WMAY. Stay tuned. Your call's next.
From the Fly SPI studios, take the easy way out. Stay informed. Stay connected.